Anyway, now I want some beef. Hello, welcome to Sound and Fury Book Reviews Proust Edition. So I started book two. Where did it go? Oh my God, this is off to a great start. I started book two, Within a Budding Grove, this week, and I decided to break it into 6 chunks of about 125 pages each. The idea was that I could also then read another book during the week, but that didn't happen because I've been trying to get my baby to sleep in her bed, in her crib. Which means I'm up like 4 or 5 times during the night. Like, she's 6 months. Do you think she sleeps during the night? No, of course not. Anyway, there she is actually. She's hanging out in her bed right now, playing with books, just like her mom. Anyway, so in this section of the book, Marcel is a young boy again. He goes on a bit of a explanation about this man, Monsieur de Noirpoix, an ambassador. This is because, like, the reason he focuses on this guy so much, I think it's also kind of like making fun of politicians a bit, which is totally fine. But it's also because this ambassador, unbeknownst to him, convinces Marcel's parents to let him go see Phaedra, a play starring Burma, this woman that Marcel has this kind of schoolboy crush on. So Marcel hypes up the play so much in his own head that he is disappointed kind of at what he sees. I mean, this is a universal problem. It spans, it's a timeless problem. We all do this when it comes to our favorite movies and stuff that we're looking forward to. So I felt kind of bad for him at that point. I was like, oh, you poor kid. Anyway, the ambassador is then over for dinner again afterward, and he also helps Marcel out by talking about the Swan family, whom Marcel is kind of obsessed with because he has a big crush on their daughter Gilbert. So Marcel's crushed, though, when Noirpoix tells him that an author that he looks up to is basically trash. So, because Marcel wants to be a writer, obviously, and so he's trying to emulate this other person's work because he thinks that it's really good, and then Noirpoix is like, oh, that guy's just a dumpster fire. Marcel then talks about playing in the Champs-Élysées. He talks about his illness for a while. He talks about the time that he got a boner for Gilbert when they were wrestling, and how eventually Gilbert invites him over for tea, and how that kind of plays out at the Swan household. So I hope I hit on the gist of the plot, though really this novel isn't really so much about the plot, but I figured I would outline it each time for people that have read it and want a refresher, or for people that have no intention of reading it and just kind of want to watch my video for some reason. So I've got some moments of interest that I want to talk about. So I totally get Marcel when he bemoans his art. He says, I wept with rage at the fact that I should never have any talent. He also goes on and on about this for a while. I totally get it, though. I mean, he has talent. But me, I don't know. I understand his struggle, but I don't pretend to be in the same caliber of a writer as Proust. I mean, come on. That would be pretty hilarious thing to attest to. I learned of a new writer to add to my TBR, François-René du Chateaubriand. I assumed at first when Marcel was talking about Chateaubriand, he was using a metaphor, using the choice cut of meat as the vehicle for the metaphor, but no, he was talking about a real person whose last name happened to be Chateaubriand. He also mentions Gerald de Nerval, who wrote one of my favorite poems, El Desquitado. I can't pronounce it. So, I mean, shout out to Gerald, I guess. You should check him out. He's pretty cool. On top of the discussion on talent and writing, I enjoyed his take on love. He talks about love a lot in this series, but he discusses how, we idolize people we're in love with so much that we aren't able to picture them clearly when we're thinking about them later. I'm assuming he meant more like we see them with rose-colored glasses, focusing on what we love the most, rather than like being unable to actually imagine them. Or maybe he's talking about how we soften things about them that aren't the best, or that aren't the most beautiful, like things in their personality or even like physical attributes. So it's a very kind of interesting and nuanced approach to attraction that I thought was something that would be, worthwhile to explore further if I had the time. And I just realized that there's like a cloth behind me, and I don't know why I feel the need to apologize for that, but I apologize for the messy state of this room. What the heck is this? I don't know. My toddler just leaves things around the house. So there wasn't much I didn't like about this. I thought it moved pretty quickly. He didn't spend too much time belaboring certain points. The way that he interwove the introduction to Norpois and how Norpois helped and or hindered him in his life was an interesting way to do it. There's one thing that I thought was kind of gross. He has this nasty image. He's like, I had difficulty in restraining myself from kissing his soft, white, wrinkled hands, which looked as though they had been left lying too long in water. Like, that's disgusting. There's a couple quotes that I found lovely. The first was, I wish to see storms only on those coasts where they rage with most violence. And I totally agree with that. I love stormy weather. So there's a small, like, person-made lake near my house, and I love to go there when the weather is bad and just watch, the water. And then he also used another interesting kind of simile. He said, as anxious as if you were afraid of missing a train. And that I think was a kind of a cool way to describe being impatient to get done with something. I mean, not as cool when it's your doctor trying to just leave, but I thought it was an interesting simile. And that's why, I read these old books. They have some really beautiful descriptions in them that, I would love to think up in my own mind. Anyway, thank you for paying attention to this video. I hope you enjoyed it. This is kind of the gist of what these Proust videos are going to be like. Minimal editing and me just talking into my phone. There's probably going to be a baby, making noises in the background. Uh-oh, she's upset. Okay. Anyway, catch you on next week. Bye.